All righty, it's good to be in the Lord's house this morning. Beautiful day we've got. I've had multiple people tell me that my hair was going to blow off with that wind. I think they're trying to be funny. I'm not sure. It did blow off. Yeah. I told them that's the reason I cut my hair last night. I stayed up late to make sure I cut it because I didn't want the wind messing my hair up this morning. I wasn't going to listen to it. I got to keep up my image on Facebook, make sure nobody can see my flyaways and all that stuff. I'm just kidding. If I was worried about my image on Facebook, I never would have got up here. That was dead and gone a long time ago this morning. But it is good to be in the Lord's house. If you've got your Bibles, go to the book of 2 Chronicles. As we finished up Wednesday night with Abimelech, and we put him in the ground, so we're going to see if we can do the same this morning with Asa here, as we've been laboring and studying on him for, it seems like about a month now. On Sunday morning, we've been looking at Asa, and I do want to glean one more time out of his life here. And then we'll move on and we'll jump back to Matthew and read a verse and probably jump back to the Old Testament again. That seems to be the way this has been working out for us. But I believe the Lord's been helping us, at least been helping me out of the text. And I've learned quite a lot. And I'm getting some glimpses into these men that make up the lineage of Jesus Christ. And one day we'll get through that lineage and we'll actually get to preach out of Matthew. But this morning in 2 Chronicles, chapter number 16. 2 Chronicles chapter 16. And the tail end of 15. We're kind of jumping the chapter division here, but we'll look at both of them a little bit. And I want to preach on the thought this morning of, can Asa close it out? Can Asa close it out? He's lived a very good life so far. He's done a lot of really good things, but has been the pattern of most of these Bible characters. They start out very strong, and towards the end it seems that they get lax and they begin to fall off. As I was laboring and studying on this some yesterday there at the house, I was trying to get in the Spirit and get close to the Lord here. So I was watching football, and that's a great way to get close to the Lord when your team's getting beat. I walked up this morning, and Brother Barry and Chris was on the porch out there, and they said something about field goals. Said, I don't want to talk about it. Said, I don't want to hear nothing about no football. I don't want to hear about it. My team got beat, and he said, it's okay. We're all in the loser's bracket together now. I don't like that either. That didn't make me feel no better just because somebody else lost too. But I was actually watching Vanderbilt play, and I like that quarterback. And if you didn't go watch his end-of-game interview, I thought it was very neat what he said. He got up there, Pavia's his name, and he got up there and he was talking to the interviewer, and he started out saying how thankful he was. And he said this. He said, I haven't been myself here lately because I haven't been chasing after God the way I ought to. You go look up and see what he was saying. He said, so now I encourage everybody to make sure you're chasing after God the way you're supposed to. I thought that was pretty good. And a lot of people will get upset and say, oh, that's a publicity stunt or whatever, however you want to look at it. I really don't care because he was talking about Jesus. Hey, he's talking about the name of my Savior on national television. Everybody was watching it. I don't know how you feel about it this morning. That's not what I'm preaching about. But I was watching them, and I was cheering for them, and I was thinking to myself, man, they're up. Can they just close out the game? And then Ole Miss started playing, and we're up. And Sue had just got home from the ladies' meeting. By the way, thank you, ladies, for going with her. I know y'all had a big time and enjoyed that so much. And I'm glad you was able to have some time away there and get to a fellowship with some other churches there. That was a big time. But I had the kids, and she had just got back into the house, and I was watching Ole Miss, and we're up by 9 points. And I told Sue, I said, I've been an Ole Miss fan a long time. I know how this is about to go. I know how we're about to let this thing go. It's about to get away from us. I just had that feeling. It's just kind of our MO now. We're going to lose the ones that we should probably win. But we're up by 9 in the fourth quarter, and there's like 12 minutes left in the game. And I told Sue, I said, all we got to do is come in here and have a nice sustained drive. It don't matter if we score or not. We just got to run the ball. We just got to get a few first downs, bleed 5-6 minutes off the clock, give the ball back to Georgia. We're down by 9 points. It don't matter if they go down there and score and get a 2-point conversion. We're still ahead, and we're going to get the ball back. And then all we got to do is bleed out the last 3-4 minutes of the game. This dude is history. That's all we had to do to win the game. And lo and behold, we get out there, we throw 3 straight incomplete passes, get 0 yards on the drive, and kill about 10 seconds off the clock. And I looked at Sue and said, we just lost the game. We just lost the game. I said, that right there, we might be up by 9 on the scoreboard, but I knew when that happened that we've lost the game. What did we do? Ole Miss could not close it out. Ole Miss failed to close out the game. And as I was sitting there studying on the text, and then I was thinking about that as well, I began to think about Asa and how much that he has done and how well he has lived his life. But right here at the end of this thing, he reigns 41 years. That's a long time to be king. At 41 years after he has started reigning, if he could just close out good, if he could just finish out this life well, if he could just go in and end this thing on a high note, how wonderful it would be. Because we could have we could have quoted Paul's famous saying there, hey, he has kept the faith. He did fight a good fight. He did finish his course. He's done all of that. We could have put that on Asa's tombstone and said he's done so good. But I wonder if he could close it out. I wonder if he's going to continue this good life that he's lived. You see, Asa's done quite a lot here. We remember it starts up there in chapter 14. I just want to tell you this real quick. Chapter 14, verse 2. Asa did that which was good and right in the eyes of the Lord his God. That's a great start. That's a great start. That's where you need to be. If you can set your life up and you can follow that pattern right there and you can go that way and you can stay on that, everything is going to be great. Everything is going to work out fine. He is doing things that are good and right in the eyes of God. He took away the altars of the strange gods and the high places and break down the images and cut down the groves and commanded Judah to seek the Lord God of their fathers. He has done so good for Judah. Verse 5 said he took away out of all the cities of Judah the high places and the images, and the kingdom was quiet before him. Great start. Great start. Asa has done a wonderful job with Judah. He has gone in and he has really begun, you'll see three things this morning. He has begun to clean out the land. He cleaned out this country that he was over. He cleaned out the territory that he had control of. You see, this place here was his responsibility. When he took over the kingdom, when he took over the title there as the king of Judah, it became his responsibility to look after the welfare of that kingdom, to make sure that everything was good and hunky-dory and lined up with what God would have it to be. And he did a good job. He went through and he cleaned out everything that ought to be gone, the place that he had control over. But I wonder the places that us in our life have control over, if we've got them cleaned out or if we've left some things that don't need to be there. You see, also I said he did good. He started really good. He went through and every single thing that could have caused damage, he got rid of it. Now, let me throw something out here. You kind of got to read between the lines here of your text to understand what I'm saying. There was false gods in the land. There was idols in the land. There was groves. There was images. There was high places. All of this was in the land, right? Was Asa using them? We don't have any evidence in the Bible that Asa was using them. Matter of fact, the Bible says that he did that which was good and right in the eyes of God. So I would venture to say, and it's safe to say, that he was not participating in all this, but it was still there. It was still there, and it was still the potential to cause damage. He said, it's got to go. We've got to get rid of it. So, and I say this morning and maybe use the illustration of a diet. I use it all the time, and I guess people think that I'm calling them fat because I use diets all the time. I'm not doing that this morning. But if you're on a diet, you don't go to Westside and buy a caramel cake and put it on the counter and walk by it every morning and say, I'm on a diet, I can't have that. Why? Because that's ignorant, and all of us is going to fall because they got really good caramel cake down there. So that's the only amen I got this morning talking about cake. We are Baptists around here. What about fried chicken? Hey, there we go. We're in. We're in this morning. Food. Maybe I need to talk about food more often around here. But you don't go and put the cake on there and walk by it because that temptation, that chance, that possibility, that potential that you're going to fall is there. What do you do when you go on a diet? You clean everything out. You get rid of all of it. I remember when Sue would go on one of those 24-day challenge diets. I would come to the house and she'd be sitting there and there'd be stuff all over the counter. There'd be Walmart sacks and everything else because we're from the South and we keep our Walmart sacks, and y'all do too. But we got Walmart sacks everywhere. And I'm like, what are you doing? She said, we're about to start a diet. I got to get rid of all this stuff. And I'm like, don't get rid of the cookies. Don't get rid of this and don't get rid of that. She said, I can't have it in the house because it's going to make me fall off of my diet. Also, he might not have participated in all of these strange gods and the false worship and the idols and all that. He might not have been there for that, but he did not want it in the land because the potential for him falling to it was always there. You might not be falling to things in your life. You might not be falling into these things, these temptations and these sins, but if the opportunity is there for us to fall to, we could fall. very quickly. Very quickly. Me and Sue, we try to go to marriage conferences and stuff all the time. And a lot of people, when I've told people before, say, yeah, we're at a marriage conference. They look at me like, well, y'all having trouble? Like, no, we're going to the marriage conference so we don't have trouble. It's preventative medicine. That's why we went, because we want to keep things sorted out and straightened out before we got to that point. So what am I trying to say this morning? What I'm trying to say is the areas that we have control over, our homes, our houses, the things that we have, we ought to do our best to get rid of all the stuff that don't need to be there. Even if we're not participating in it, we don't want there to be the temptation of that there for us to fall to it. On my phone, I've got parental controls on my phone. Who's over them? I'm over them. But I typed in a password that I can't remember on purpose to keep me from messing up. Why? Because I'm flesh. I'm flesh, just like your flesh, and if the opportunity is there to mess something up, guess what you'll do? You'll mess something up, because I'll mess something up. That's our flesh. So what are we over? He was over the land of Judah here. He cleaned it out. He didn't want there to be no chance for anybody to fall into this stuff. We're human. We're flesh. We got enough problems on our own without leaving something there that's going to tempt us and hurt us every day. I wonder what is in our house right now that might trip us up. I wonder if our phone is something that can trip us up. Can we be honest this morning? You ain't got to follow it on your phone for your phone to show it to you. You ain't got to be following it for your phone to show it to you. You get on that dude and you begin to stroll, and this little algorithm or whatever it uses, it likes to show you things it knows you don't need to see. It likes for you to be involved in things. Whether you're partaking of it or not, the temptation and the possibility is still there. What's in our minds this morning? See, we have control over our minds, but a lot of times we like to let our mind dream on things we got no business dreaming on. We like to think back. There were some fellas at Locust Grove, and when they had gotten saved, they were terrible alcoholics. We were just sitting around. We had a little fellowship dinner at one of the church folks' house, and we were sitting there in the lawn chairs talking, and we just got to talking about alcohol and things like that in the past lives, the old man before we were saved. And they were sitting there and they said, if there was one here right now, you'd have to take it from me because I want one so bad. They want one so bad. They still have that desire. They still have that in them. It's still got a hold to them. It's still got a grip of them there. It's the individual that's trying to quit a habit that they ought not be doing. They know they need to quit it, and when they try to, they can't have that stuff around them because it makes it so hard. We got to get rid of some things, get it out of here, and not let our minds dwell on it, because it will come back to us and we will talk ourselves into it. I've realized something. I'm really, really good at convincing myself that it's okay. I'm really good at it. And if you'll be honest with yourself this morning, when you have a desire of something that you know you ought not have, you can convince yourself to do it. You can very easily convince yourself it's just one time. It's just one time. You used to do it all the time and you're okay now. You used to partake of that. You used to do this. You used to do that. You used to think about that all the time. It ain't hurt you too much. Or how about this? Men, let me just talk to you real quick. I've had a bunch of men tell me it's okay to look as long as you don't touch, referring to the opposite sex. Let me put it to a poll. Ladies, are you okay with your man looking as long as he don't touch? Raise your hand. Yeah, I didn't think so. If you could have put your hands any farther down, you would have. Because nobody in here thinks that way. Nobody wants that. How many times have I heard men tell me it's okay, I'm just window shopping. I'm just looking. No, what you're doing is you're committing adultery in your mind, and that's what the Lord Jesus said. He said if you look at it and have a desire on a woman, you've committed adultery in your heart already. You've already messed this thing up. What are we doing? We're letting our mind that we're supposed to be in control of pull us to the side and tempt us out and make us make some mistakes. You see, I would venture to say this morning that we all claim we're in control of our bodies. We're in control of our mind. We have put that in subjection as we're supposed to. But at the end of the day, it rules us. It rules us. Our minds rule us. Our bodies rule us. You don't believe me? What do you do when your stomach growls? You go get something to eat because you're hungry. What's that? Your body's saying, I want this. And you're saying, okay, body, I'm for you. Brother Alan Gulick preached one time. And I don't know, I thought it was crazy at the time that he preached it, but it makes a lot more sense now. He was talking on self-discipline, preaching on the thought of that and how important it is to have self-discipline as a Christian. And he said, you ought to go out of your way to deny your flesh every once in a while. He said, go home and sleep on the floor instead of sleeping in your bed just so you can prove that you still have control over your flesh. I'm like, man, I got a purple mattress. I'm going to sleep on that dude. And I ain't finna sleep on the floor. But then the more I thought about it, I was like, you know what? He's exactly right. We can't deny ourselves nothing today. We ain't got enough willpower about us to tell ourselves no. Why don't we get the cake out of the house when we're on a diet? Because the cake ain't going to make us eat it, but we ain't got the willpower to walk by it and say, I'm not going to do it. Why is Asa going out of his way to clean this country up that he's got control over? Because he knows if there is any possibility whatsoever for people to fall to it, they will fall. We've got things that we are in control of that we got to make sure we hold in subjection. How about this? What's in our mind and what comes out of our mouth? How many times has somebody at work just got a hold of us, and before we even thought about it, man, we are just ready to let them have it, and we've done said something to really let them know how we feel about it, and then we think back, that probably wasn't the best thing to say. That probably wasn't the best way to handle that. That probably wasn't the best thing to say in that situation. I catch myself quite often, and this will really make you love your pastor. Somebody will irritate me, and I want to tell them off so bad. I want to chomp them down one side, up the other side. I want to let them have it. And I'm sitting there like, can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. I got to get away. I got to go over here. I got to get myself away from that. I got to separate out, and I got to calm down for just a second. I've told people before, if I said everything that came to my mind, I let them intrusive thoughts win, wouldn't none of y'all like me. I'd probably be a big old jerk. I'm not real good about letting people just say a bunch of stuff that ain't true and letting people just act like they're high and mighty when they're not. I'm bad about wanting to just call somebody out and put them in their place. But I can't do it. I can't do it. Why can't you do it? Because I can't do it in the right spirit. Therefore, I have to stop it because my behavior and the way I act, what it's going to do is damage the kingdom of God if I act that way. What's it going to do if somebody knows the pastor of Beulah Baptist Church is out there telling folks off left and right and doing whatever he wants to do because he's letting the flesh win? He's not holding it in subjection. What's that going to do? I ain't going to that church. Bunch of hypocrites. I ain't going down there. I ain't doing that. What's it going to do if all the members of Beulah Baptist Church can't hold ourselves in subjection and we can't rule our flesh well and our mouth and our tongue runs rampant on us? It ain't a good look for the church. It ain't a good look for the kingdom of Christ. It's not a good look for all of the family of God here because we can't hold ourselves in subjection. You see, Asa here, he has got to get to the point where there's no temptation, there's no possibility in the land. He's got to clean it out, and we've got to clean our lives out as well. What comes out of our mouth? How about what our hands do and where our feet take us? What's that old saying? I hope I don't mess this up. I'm shooting this from the hips. Y'all forgive me if I say it wrong. Sin will take you places you never wanted to go, make you stay longer than you wanted to stay, spend more than you wanted to spend, and do things you never thought you'd do. That's what sin does. That's the way it is. That's the nature of sin. It's the domino effect. It begins to fall and it gets worse and worse and worse and worse. The snowball effect, whichever way you want to put it this morning. If we're not careful to never fall into that situation, it'll cascade on us and we'll be in a bad place real quick. We have got lands, we have got territories, we've got parts of our life, we've got families, we've got homes, we have got areas that we are in control of. I wonder if we've done a deep clean on those and got rid of all of these possibilities and temptations. Because if not, we're walking through a minefield. We're walking through a minefield and it's just only a matter of time before we step on something and it blows up. We find ourselves in a bad place. We find ourselves in an area we never thought we would be. You see, he's gone a long way to clean out the country he was over. But he didn't just go and stop at the country. He even cleaned out the cities that he influenced. Huh? What you mean by that? Well, in chapter number 15, it says there, in verse number 9, he gathered all Judah and Benjamin and the strangers with them out of Ephraim and Manasseh and out of Simeon. He's got more people that are falling into this land. He's got more people from the neighboring cities that are wanting to come in to the land of Judah here. Why? Because they realize that God's with him. How do they know that? His influence went out. He was able to influence those around him to clean them out as well. I don't know if you've noticed this or not. In chapter 14, in verse number 5, he took away out of all the cities of Judah. In verse 4, he commanded Judah. It's just Judah, okay? It was all Judah. It was just his base kingdom, his Judah, what he was over. But then, in chapter 15, what I just read, it's Judah and Benjamin and the cities that he had taken from Mount Ephraim and all these other cities and people that had fallen out from him. It's growing. What's happening? He took care of Judah. He cleaned out Judah, and Judah got in a good place. There was no more strange gods. There's no more idols. There's no more high places. He's cleaned that out. Everything is in good shape. And then the people around him begin to see that in their lives, and the influence of him and how good things were rolled off on them and rubbed off on them. And next thing you know, they want to get cleaned up too. They want to be a part of it as well. And they begin to fall out of Israel to go to the land of Judah. He influenced the cities around him. You see, if we'll clean up our own lives, I wonder who it will influence around us. We can influence our families. We can influence our friends. We can influence our co-workers, our neighbors, our communities. But how in the world are we going to influence them? We got to get ourselves in a state that everybody wants to be like first. They didn't go to Judah just because they liked Judah more than Israel. They went to Judah for a reason. The reason they went to Judah was because all of that false worship was all gone. And God was with Judah and God was with Asa, and they wanted to be there. How do we make people want to be a Christian? It's not by going and knocking on their door and saying, hey, you better be a Christian. No, it's not that. It's showing them how great it is to be a Christian. It's showing them how wonderful it is to be a Christian. It's showing them how wonderful it is to come to church and enjoy sitting on the pew and to laugh and to holler and have a good time, and at the same time getting closer to God through the midst of it. You can do both. You can have fun at the house of God. You can have a blast here. Some of my greatest memories I've ever had have been at the church house. Sitting around after services and laughing and cutting up and just having a big old time. All good, clean fun in the eyes of God. It's about our influence and what we have on people around us. We got to make this place, we got to make our lives, we got to make our habits something that everybody else wants to do. Let's go back to diets for a second, since y'all love my food examples so well. If somebody came in and they weighed 350 pounds and they said, I've started a new diet, and then a month later they walk in and they weigh 370 pounds, who wants to do that diet? Nobody. Because it did the opposite. It made them bigger. They gained 20 pounds. That sounds like the opposite of a diet to me. That's not something they want to be a part of. But if somebody comes in, weighs 350, goes on a diet, and a month later they weigh 320, all of a sudden, hey, there might be something to that. There might be something to that diet. If I, as a Christian, I go out and I begin to tell everybody, I said, hey, come to the house of God. Come by the church sometime. Read your Bible. Come and worship with us. Have a good old time. Love on the Lord and let the Lord love on you, and He's going to help you out, I promise. And then all of a sudden, the next time they see me, I'm cussing. I'm kicking the neighbor's cat. I'm drinking. I'm doing everything under the sun that is not becoming of a child of God. And guess what they're going to do? They're going to look at that and be like, why would I want to be a part of that? Why would I want anything to do with that at all? Why would I want to go to a place like that? I got to thinking one time. If you invite somebody to church and they showed up to church and the church you've been bragging on and how that you've made all over it, and you said, hey, it's just a wonderful place. Come by and worship with us. Have a big time with us and love on the Lord and let the Lord love on you, and we're going to have such a good time at church. And they come in the doors of the church and all they see is a bunch of drama, a bunch of hypocrites, and a bunch of dead church. Who wants to be there? Not me. Not me at all. I wouldn't want to be there neither. I've walked into some dead churches for revivals. We went in there, and I sat down, and I looked around and said, dear God, what am I doing here? What am I doing here? And I wanted to get up and leave in the middle of service. Why? Because I'm not interested in dead church. I'm not interested in drama. I'm not interested in a bunch of hypocrites and a bunch of liars. If I wanted that, I wouldn't come to church. I'd just go to work on Monday. I'd just go watch football. There's a bunch of liars and cheaters and cussers and everything else in that too. I'm not preaching on football. I love football. I really do. But anything that if we wanted to be involved in anything like that, we can find it where we want to. It's not hard to find that. We come to the house of God because we want somewhere that is different. We want somewhere that is separated and doesn't have all that mess going on in it. We're looking for an escape from the world, not more places to be just like the world. If I wanted to come to church just so I could be around a bunch of liars, a bunch of hypocrites, a bunch of drama, a bunch of all that stuff, why would I come to church and pay a tithe to be a part of that? I can go to work and they pay me for that instead of the other way around. That don't make no sense. Why in the world would I want to be there? You see, he cleaned out the land, and because the land was clean, the influence it had on the people around them was that it made them want to be like that. It made them want to have that same kind of faith and that same kind of testimony there in their own lands, in their own cities, their own communities. He did everything he could to influence those around him. I often told the youth at Locust Grove, do we make people around us better or worse? Do you make the people around you better and make them closer to God? Or do you make them worse and pull them farther away from God? And then I would spin it off and say, if everybody you're hanging out with is not making you better and closer to God, you might want to leave them. And find you somebody that will make you closer to God. Different sermon, different time. But not only these cities here, but you'll find even the people that are close to him. Even the ones close to him, he had to straighten them out as well. Chapter 15, verse 16. And also concerning Maacah, the mother of Asa the king. Now it says mother right here. Understand that word mother means grandmother, okay? This is his grandmother. Mother is just a title given to grandmothers as well. So this is his grandmother. The grandmother of Asa the king, he removed her from being queen. She was queen mother, okay? All right, queen mother. It was a little bit of an office there, had just a little bit of a power with it there because her husband was gone and she retained some of the power there. He had to remove her from being queen because she had made an idol in a grove. And Asa cut down her idol and stamped it and burned it at the brook Kidron. That brook Kidron pops up a lot of places in the Bible. If you'll study it out, you'll find some cool things about it. But even the people closest to Asa, he had to go. Can you imagine the conversation he had to have with her? Went in there, hey, Granny, I love you. I'm glad you've done everything you've done. I'm glad that you've loved on me and you've took care of me and you've helped me and you've done all these things. But I'm getting rid of your idol because you ought not be doing it. I'm getting rid of everything that you're worshiping because it ain't right. I'm getting rid of that grove. Matter of fact, I'm going to take it, I'm going to stomp on it, and then I'm going to burn it down here at the brook Kidron. I'm going to get rid of it. I can't imagine that'd be a very easy conversation for him. I can't imagine that'd go over real well for Asa. Because my granny, if I went up to her, I went up to my mama, she could slap me in the face and I'd tell her thank you. That's just the way she is. She's done so much for me. It'd be very hard for me to go to her and tell her she ain't doing right. But that's what he's had to do. It might be some folks close to us that we have to go up to and tell them, hey, you ain't doing right. There's some things that we ought to clean up. There's some things that we ought to change here because what you're doing is not right in the eyes of God, and we're trying to clean this place out. Anybody remember that little verse there? Iron sharpeneth iron. Huh? What's that mean? It means that all of us ought to be coming together and sharpening one another. Now let me ask you this. How do you sharpen a knife? Of course, you've got little knife sharpeners now. They got the little sanding belts on them. You've got the little one that's got the little crisscross metal plate. You slide your knife down the middle of it. In old school, you got the whetstone. In every single method to sharpen a knife, you got to make contact. You got to make contact. You see, in this day and time, we ain't got anybody sharpening anybody else because we're too scared to make contact with anybody. We're too scared to step up and say, hey, what you are doing is wrong. You ought not be doing that. Instead, we want to be like, well, you know, God said not to judge. God said we ought not judge, and we ought to turn the other cheek, and He is grace and He's mercy, so I'll just let Him deal with them. And we've got this little timid attitude. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to illustrate that. I got this little timid attitude that I won't step up and tell anybody they're wrong. My goodness. What if you didn't step up and tell somebody they were wrong and they died and they went to hell because you never told them they were wrong? Not me. Not me. I don't intend to do that. Now, while I'm here, there's a good way to do this, okay? There's a good way. If Barry's doing something wrong, I'm making this up, I'm picking on him, okay? Don't think that I'm calling him out. If Barry's doing something wrong, I'm not going to preach to Barry's face and stand up on the pew and preach down to Barry. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say, hey, Barry, let me talk to you. He's going to come to the office. That's why he's been in my office so much here lately. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I just make sure y'all's awake. But I'm going to say, hey, come here, let's talk about something real quick. And just me and him and God are going to be the only ones in that room. And we're going to talk about what we think is going on and why we're worried about what's happening. Because we can't handle this like men. We can't handle this like adults, right? There is a right way to do this. But I can't sharpen Barry, and Barry can't sharpen me without making contact. Without making contact. He had to make a little contact with old Granny, Mahaka. He had to go in there and tell her that we're getting rid of some things around here because we're trying to clean it up and we're leaving all this false mess and we're going back to God. He had to clean it up. But then you'll find after he got done cleaning all this stuff up, there were some places that he could not control. He had the area of his influence. He had the things that he did have control over. But then in chapter 16, you're going to find some places that he didn't have control. He controlled Judah. He controlled Benjamin. He controlled the cities that he took. He controlled all the people that came out of the land of Israel back to him. But in chapter 16, verse 1, in the 6th and 30th year, the 36th year of his reign, Baasha's reign here, Baasha, king of Israel, came up against Judah and built Ramah to the intent that he might let none go out or come in to Asa, king of Judah. What's he doing? We got a bunch of Asa and Ashas and Bahashas and Mahakas and a bunch of other folks this morning. Baasha is the king of Israel. He noticed that everybody's leaving his kingdom and going to Judah because Judah is doing so much better now. It's amazing what happens here. That's a great illustration I just thought about. It's a great illustration there. When people get right with God and folks begin to serve Him, how many people leave the world and leave the wickedness to go and be a part of that, and somebody's always mad to see them go. Baasha is mad to see them go. He says, I'm losing folks in my kingdom because they're going to Judah to go be with Asa, to go worship God over here. I'm losing them. I'm going to build Ramah here, this town, right here close to the border, and I'm going to use it as a block, as a roadblock to keep people from leaving my country of Israel to go into Judah, and to keep people from Judah leaving there and coming to Israel and influencing my folks. He says, I'm putting an end to that. I'm going to stop it right now. Now let me ask you this, just to help illustrate my point. North Korea does the same thing. Fair? Everybody can understand that? North Korea does not like anybody to defect. Matter of fact, if you try to leave North Korea, they will put a bullet in you to keep you from leaving. That's how North Korea is. There's a reason between North Korea and South Korea. They have that minefield there, that DMZ, demilitarized zone there. By the way, look it up. The world's most dangerous golf course is located there. It's one hole. And if you miss the green in the fairway, you're probably going to blow up with a landmine. Most dangerous golf course in the world. Check it out. I'm telling the truth about that. I think it's just for the people on base there. But anyways, it's there. Beside the point. But they have all that stuff set up to keep people from leaving North Korea. But they also have it set up, why? To keep people from leaving other areas to come to North Korea and changing what's happening in North Korea. There was a fellow, I don't want to say his name on Facebook Live, okay? I don't want to get him in trouble. There's a missionary that I knew when I was still out at Herkin. And his ministry is he would get in China, on the southern border of China, which is where North Korea meets up, and he was taking drones. And they were flying tracts and Bibles and things of that nature across the border into North Korea, and that's how they were ministering to the people of North Korea. He came back home on furlough, and while he was gone, North Korea shot down one of the drones. And they caught his partner, and they had his name as well. And they took his partner and threw his partner in jail, and word got out to this missionary I'm talking about and said, stay in America, don't come back. They're looking for you. They're looking for your family. They have pictures. They have all this stuff. They want you dead. They are looking for you. And I was like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? He said, the Lord's told me to minister to North Korea. So I'll go to South Korea, and I'll do the same thing on the other end of Korea. And I'll just go across that border instead. To my knowledge, he's still there doing that work today. Why? Because the influence that he can get into North Korea for the kingdom of God is changing the people in North Korea. By the way, there's all kind of churches in Pakistan and everywhere else are doing the exact same thing. The influence of the gospel, when it goes out, it changes lives. That's why he built Ramah, because he was scared of what was fixing to happen when everybody from Judah got to coming into Israel, talking about how good it was because they left all the strange false gods and they went back to God. That's why he built Ramah there. He didn't build Ramah to fight. He built it. It literally says he did it to the intent. His intent was to stop people from coming and going. But this is where Asa is beginning to unravel. I said he started well and he's done so much. He's done such a great job. He's started the game good. He's played the game good. He came out after halftime. He played good. And then the fourth quarter hit and his name was Ole Miss and he just crumbled. He just let it go. He began to fall apart. He sees this city has been built here. Now, he's been ruling for 36 years. He's got some time and experience under his belt here. He's spent a lot of time cleaning out the land and getting folks back to God and worshiping God. And now all of a sudden that this challenge has come in, he looks at it and he goes way out of his way and treats it wrongly. He looks at everything that's going on around his little sphere of influence, and he's worried about it. He gets so upset about it. He's like, I've got to change it right now. I've got to do something that's going to undo everything that I did. Now let me help you. I want to help you this morning, okay? So listen to me just a few more minutes. I'm closing this thing down, okay? Us as Christians, it is so easy for us to look around and say, I've gone to church, I've prayed, I've paid my tithes, I've voted, I've done this, I've done that, and the world is still a mess. Why do I even try? I've had Christians come to me and tell me and said, why would I even go and vote? My one vote ain't going to change nothing. Well, that's one less vote the other team needs to win. My opinion on it. But they'll sit there and they'll say, I can't do anything. I've tried to live right. I've tried to do that, and it's just not working. Or I've talked to families that for the whole lives of their kids, they've invested and they have put God into them over and over and over again. And the kids grow up and they leave. They say, wow, why is it worth it? Is it even worth it to keep on going on, to keep on and doing? Because everything out around us is still wicked. Still wicked. We've got folks in this building right now that have been going to church for 50 plus years. I would venture to say the world is worse now than it was when you started going to church 50 years ago. Right? Seems fair. Is that an excuse for us to say, hey, church ain't working, let's just quit? Let's just quit? Let's just stop? Ain't no sense in coming? No, it's not an excuse for that. It's not an excuse to give it up. Because look at the other side of things. Is your life better now than it was when you started going to church? It should be. You see, here's where Asa's got to realize something. Asa's got to draw a line in the sand. He's got to say, I've controlled everything on this side. We're going to worship God. We're leaving that other mess alone. And everything that happens over there on the other side of my line, on the other side of my hedge, I'll let God take care of that, and I'm going to control what I can. But there's so many Christians today that are so beat down and so discouraged and so depressed to where they don't even want to go to church, they don't want to pray, they don't want to worship, they don't want to do nothing because they think that they're riding a sinking ship because of the way the world is going. You're not serving God. You're not coming to church. You're not paying tithes. You're not praying and worshiping and singing and reading. But you're not doing all of those things for everybody else around you. That's for you. But we are trying to live as an influence for all of those around us. What's Asa done? He is a perfect example up until this point of what the gospel will do for us. Can I give you some great wisdom that my daddy used to always tell me and Trey? Because you see, every time Trey got in trouble, I was like a little parrot on Daddy's shoulder, and I'd say, yeah, do that, or you knew better than that, or whatever. And Dad would turn and say, I don't need your help. But he always followed it up with this statement. Easton takes care of Easton. You take care of you. You take care of you. What's Asa done? Asa took care of everything that he had control over. He said, I can't control what Israel is doing. I can't control what they're doing overseas. I can't control what's happening over there. But what I can do is make sure the people that I'm over and the families that are making up my kingdom are not worshiping a false God. Instead, they're worshiping the true God. What can you do here? Not a one of y'all has got President Trump on speed dial and can call him and say, I'm dissatisfied with the way everything is going. I need you to do this. But every one of you does have a home that you're going to go home to. And you can make sure that that home is cleaned out. That home is living for God. that family is serving God, that those kids are going to church, that the family is worshiping together, that you are praying, that you are reading, that you are worshiping, that you are praising, that you are singing in the house of God. You can make sure that you are doing everything you can, and then the folks that are looking at you from the outside, they notice that testimony, and you'll make a difference. Me and Brother Barry were talking the other day. He's been praying about the Lord giving him a way to reach people, And I'm not trying to air your business, Barry. I'm sorry. It just fits. How do I reach people? And we had the conversation, and I said, in my experience, my very limited experience, my March 1st make 10 years I've been preaching. My very limited experience compared to a lot of other people. The ones that stick are not the ones that you just tell about church one time on down the road. They're the ones that know you and get to see your life. They get to see the way you are outside of church. They get to see you go through problems in your home, in your marriages, at work, and watch you deal with it in the way a Christian ought to. They're the ones that watch your testimony in prayer. They're the ones that watch you be what you say you are. They see what God has done for you in your life. They see what the church has done for you and how that it has changed you and made you better. Those are the ones that stick. Those are the ones that come by and want what you got because you showed them how good it is to be a part of it. Those are the ones that stick. Asa, if he would have just left Ramah alone and just took care of everything on his side of the line, he could have finished this deal out. And I could have said that he closed it out and he finished it well. Sadly, he didn't. You see, he's going to look across there at Ramah. He's going to come up with this little plan. He's going to come up with a little plan here, and he's going to call another king, Syria, if my memory serves. Let me get up here where I can read it. I don't want to mess this up. Oh, let's see here. He calls Benhadad, there in verse number 4. He has called him out there. He calls him, verse number 2. Calls the king of Syria that dwelt at Damascus, saying, there's a league between me and thee, as there was between our fathers. Behold, I have sent thee silver and gold. By the way, it came out of the house of God. I've sent you silver and gold. Break thy league with Baasha, the king of Israel, then may it depart from me. And Benhadad is going to go and he's going to attack some cities. And when he's attacking those cities, Baasha leaves building Ramah. Asa comes in behind him with the whole kingdom of Judah. Says, everybody grab a board, everybody grab a stone, and we're taking this city. Can you imagine the sight on that? It looks like ants. They done come in here and everybody's done grab one brick or one stone or one board or whatever, and they have left Ramah, took all the material that they had, and they've gone and built some other cities out of it. Can you imagine Baasha when he comes back? Where's Ramah? I promise I left it right here. But ain't nothing there but a pile of stones or a pile of sand. Ain't nothing left of that city. But Asa has gone and he has worked around and connived and he has taken money from the house of God and he has paid somebody else to come in and try to solve his problem. And since he has done that, the Lord is about to send somebody his way. Verse number 7. And at that time Hananiah the seer came to Asa king of Judah and said unto him, because thou hast relied on the king of Syria and not relied on the Lord thy God. Therefore is the host of the king of Syria escaped out of thy hand. Were not the Ethiopians and the Lubans a huge host, and very many chariots and horsemen? Yet because thou didst rely on the Lord, he delivered them into thine hand. For the eyes of the Lord run to and fro through the whole earth to show himself strong in the behalf of them whose heart is perfect toward him. Herein thou hast done foolishly. Therefore, from henceforth thou shalt have wars. What happened? He didn't close it out. He started so well. He cleaned the kingdom out. He influenced those around him. He did everything that he could do. He was doing it perfect. He was doing so well. And then this challenge showed up that really and truly, he wasn't fitting to attack from Ramah. It said the whole reason that Ramah was built was to keep people from leaving one or the other. That's only one city. They could have very easily gotten around that. We've got a border that's policed 24/7 and folks still make it over that dude all the time. If somebody really wanted to leave Judah to get to Israel or Israel to get to Judah, Ramah wouldn't have made much of a difference there. But all I'm trying to say is he didn't have to go and try to attack Ramah and get rid of it. He didn't have to do anything. He should have just asked the Lord what he should have done and let God take care of it because he's already proven himself over and over and over again. But because Asa was a Baptist, he said, no, I'll take care of this by myself. just like we always typically do. Even though God has delivered time and time again, not this time, Lord. Let me just figure it out on my own. Let me just go and do it the way that I want to do it. Let me just go and make a mess of things. And then I'll come and hope you clean up the aftermath. And because of that, Hananiah has told him, thou hast done foolishly. And he wasn't able to close it out. And because he got that news, I'm going to paraphrase telling you this. Ladies, if y'all want to come on towards the piano and organ this morning. He was so upset with Hananiah that he takes him and he throws him in prison. Throws him in prison because he had messed up and the Lord had sent Hananiah to tell him of that. And he oppressed some of the people at that same time. And then in verse number 12, Asa in the 39th year of his reign was diseased in his feet, until his disease was exceeding great. Yet in his disease he sought not the Lord. We still haven't learned our lesson. But he went to the physicians. And Asa slept with his fathers and died in the 41st year of his reign. He reigned 41 years and they buried him. You know, the ending, the last 4 or 5 verses that I read, is in such stark contrast to the rest of the life of Asa. We've preached Asa the last 3 services, it seems like, and he's just been way up here. He's done so good, man. He's cleaned the land out. He's cleaned his family out. He's cleaned the cities out. He's influenced other people to come to him. God is with him. He has completely turned this thing around and brought it all back together. And it's so great. And Asa, man, we want to give him a round of applause and say, you done so good, Asa. But just like my Ole Miss Rebels, when the 4th quarter came, he didn't close it out. He didn't close it out. There's a lot of folks in here that have been serving God a long time. And you've done so good. You've done so wonderfully. You've influenced those around you to serve God. You've cleaned out your homes and you got your families where it needs to be. You're doing so good. Let this serve as a caution for all of us this morning. It's not over till it's over. It's not over till the fat lady sings. It's not over until the bell at the end of the game or the checkered flag for you NASCAR folks. It's not over until it truly is over. You might have served God so well for 50 years, but as long as you're still here and you're still drawing breath, you better keep on serving. You better keep on going. Because I want everybody in this place, myself included, to be able to have that testimony to say that I did finish well. I don't want to give my whole life serving God only right there at the end and just lax off of it and say, I've done my dues. I've done my dues. I'll just drop the ball now. That's not my desire for myself or anybody in this church. I want us all to have that testimony to be able to say, I have finished well. Let's all stand this morning, ladies, as you play.